Well, hey everybody, you got the RV Wingman here. Thank you for joining me today. So, a springtime camping season going strong here in the South. You may be thinking about buying an RV or maybe selling your RV. If so, I want to suggest you decide to do business with one of America's most trusted RV dealers. These are the best of the best for sure, and I know that they will treat you right. And if you have any doubts, don't take my word for it. I mean, scan that QR code down here or click in the description, find the link down below to actually hear a couple of hundred real RV buyers who tell me about their purchase experience. No one will work harder to earn your business, not just for one RV, but for every RV you may buy in the future. So, there's a lot of talk right now about RV quality, right? Personally, I believe that the quality of units I'm seeing today are noticeably better than those that were built during the pandemic. But even though quality is improving, the industry as a whole has a long ways to go. RV buyers, especially first-time RV buyers, assume they're purchasing a product that's been properly built and inspected. But in reality, that ain't always the case. From missing, sometimes structural components to improper sealing that can lead to expensive water damage, many RV owners discover defects only after the damage has already been done. And then when they turn to the dealer or the manufacturer for help, they're often met with delays, denials, blame shifting. So, if you are going to buy an RV, the best way to protect yourself is by keeping what they call a meticulous defect diary. A written record of any issues and knowing your rights and having a legal expert on your side. Beth Wells, who you'll meet in just a sec, is an RV lemon lawyer. And she is a badass. She is. And she's spent over 2 decades fighting for RV owners who have purchased a bad RV. Today, Beth is pulling back the curtain on how some of these cases unfold. I have not asked you about this one in months, but what's going on with the fire case, the Doman fire case? Is that something that you can talk about? Is it still going on? Is it?
It's still going on. We're just starting discovery. Not much going on.
Really? And it's been almost, 3 years on this fifth wheel? I think it was December 22, I think.
A couple of years, yeah.
Yeah, more than 2 years, that's for sure. And so it's
still when there's like those, I would say when that's pretty common, unfortunately, if there's motions to dismiss that are filed, they're filed like right at the beginning in the case, so you don't even get to do discovery. And that can, there were three filed, so that's not unusual for it to take a year and a half for a decision on all those, unfortunately.
How does the dealer get away with not being responsible when I believe they are clearly responsible for not getting the RV ready for me to buy it? We talked earlier about not doing the proper caulking around the shower area, for example, or up on the roof. The manufacturer didn't do their job by, putting the correct, sealing everything. And the dealer didn't do their job. How does the dealer get out of accepting any responsibility for them, neither one, the manufacturer nor the dealer, doing what they were supposed to do to provide me with something that I assumed was going to keep me dry?
Well, I think the recent Doman decision keeping Camping World in the case in Indiana will give us a little bit more leverage on that. Previously, it would be hard to argue that you can sue the dealer and the manufacturer in Indiana. So then you're dealing with, if you're going to sue the dealer, you'd have to do it in a separate state and a separate case between the manufacturer and the dealer. So I think some things that were said by the judge in that decision can be used, and we hope to be able to use them to bring more dealers in to cases in Indiana, even though they're across the country. So,
what are you looking for when somebody submits their information to you? What are you looking for that says, "Ha, that's a good one," or "I'm sorry, that's a bad one"? What do you? There's got to be some things that you go down and go, "What does that box say?" or "What was their answer here?" What are you looking for either way?
So I did want to clarify too, because we were talking about time out of service.
Yeah.
That's an either or. So if you've got short repairs, but you've got multiple repair attempts, then the time doesn't matter. If that makes sense.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you've had a problem in 3 times and it's not fixed, and the total days out of service is 90 days, I'm not concerned about it, as long as the defects are material defects, if that makes sense.
But the dealer gets away with not having to. They do a terrible job, some of them, in getting the thing ready. They're great at shaking your hand and have a nice life. Get out of here. And who's next?
Yeah. So the other things that I would say would be important to look for, so the days out of service, the number of repair attempts, if the problems are fixed or not. If the problems are fixed, it's significantly weaker case, even if you have tons of out of service time or you have more than 3 repair attempts, at least in Indiana. It might be different in other states, but in Indiana, if it's fixed, you lose pretty much all the strength of your case. So I would say problems that aren't fixed. If you've got like a really bad problem, like a roof leak that they can't fix, like a slide out that keeps malfunctioning and it won't work right, frame issues, issues with like the underbelly.
But Beth, isn't it true that first off, isn't it true that some manufacturers just the people forget and they don't caulk around the skylight or whatever the vents up? That I think is a fact. It would have taken them at the manufacturing plant 10 minutes, 30 minutes at the most to do their job. And so now that the water the intrusion has happened in my RV, it's never going away. And so we'll take it back and we'll squirt some more stuff up on top. Well, you should have done that when you built the damn thing. At least that's the way it seems to me. And they get away with that. So it's all right for them to not do the job, not even do a bad job. They just don't even do their job.
Right.
And then I'm supposed to accept what their incompetence or failure to do the job has caused me damage. That squirting some new caulk on top of where it's leaking is not going to make me whole. But I'm supposed to accept that? I think the answer
No, I don't think you are at all.
Well,
I don't think
I
you should.
shouldn't. I shouldn't, but
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that most recent decision, I'm hopeful that it will carry through to allow us to successfully bring cases against dealers that maybe might not be in Indiana into an Indiana case if we feel like it's necessary or warranted because of some violation of law. So
what are some states that are, if people have purchased in a certain state, what are the worst states in terms of my consumer rights?
Indiana.
Yeah, but Indiana is with all the not all, but most of the manufacturers say, look, if there's a problem, we got to go to court. We're going to go to court in Indiana. The laws of Indiana apply. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say Indiana. Maybe one of the best is probably California.
Yeah, I've heard that before. California and I don't know. I think that RVs, the RV industry has been in this gray area, if you will. They're not automobiles. And so they don't have to comply. They don't have franchise agreements like the car manufacturers do. So they're able to get away with a lot of stuff. And there's no national lemon law to protect them.
Yeah, I mean, I think RV law is in its infancy, maybe where car law was, before lemon laws came out. So was that the 70s or the 80s? So it's very far behind. I hope eventually it'll catch up, and we're doing our best to play our part in making it catch up, but it's definitely behind. And there are definitely, just from my description or answers to your questions, I'm sure you can see there's no clear rules. It's kind of like, well, maybe this, well, maybe that. I think we need clear rules from laws, not from judge decisions, if that makes sense.
I wish that you were able to give more direct, clear answers. And I know that you would too. You like to do it, but it's so fuzzy, and
Mhm.
that's the bad thing for consumers, is because they purchase something not understanding what the potential negative consequences are.
Right.
And then they don't know, not none, but most of these claims, I think, that end up at the Burgewell's office don't start out as huge things. They start out as small things. Hey, looks like there's a leak, but it turns into a whole big mess.
Turns out the walls are filled with mold.
Yes, and the slide outs, they'll work for a couple of weeks, then all of a sudden they won't work, and it turns into this cabal, this giant mess, and that's why the consumer can't wait. They need to contact a law firm, somebody that can evaluate where they are and start documenting all those things.
Yeah, and like I said, they can start documenting it from the beginning too. It's not necessarily to mean that you're going to have a lawsuit or you're going to have to engage in litigation, but the more you document things in the beginning, I think probably, I'm not involved in that portion, but probably if you're dealing with the manufacturer without an attorney, they might take you more seriously if you have all your ducks in a row. And if they don't, then when you go to an attorney, it's so much easier if things are documented, written out clearly, to just review a case and to handle it. Does that make sense?
Explain to me, from the dealer's side, if they have two different RVs that they got to work on. One is warranty work and one is not warranty work. They got to put a new air conditioner on it or whatever. They're both the same job. What is the incentive on the dealer to not do the warranty stuff yet, but do the
Customer pay.
yes, the customer pays stuff? Explain that, if you would.
Yeah. So the dealer is going to, let's say they spend 5 hours on the air conditioner making repairs. Each manufacturer has like an allotted time for each repair. So maybe the manufacturer only allows for 3.1 hours for that work that they performed. So if they spend 5 hours and it's customer pay, they will bill the customer for 5 hours. If they spend 5 hours and it's warranty work, and the warranty only, like the agreement between the manufacturer and the dealer only allows for them to bill 3.1 hours, they'll get paid for 3.1 hours. Now, typically they can submit for a request for additional time, but it's not necessarily always granted, just in my experience from deposing dealers.
Is the hourly rate, maybe you don't know this, is the hourly rate that the manufacturer pays the dealer for the warranty work the same as the hourly rate that me, the consumer, has to pay the dealer for my customer pay work?
I'm sure there could be differences, but just in my experience, when I'm seeing it's pretty across the board. Like they're going to charge, if there's a facility that does warranty work, they're going to charge most likely whatever the manufacturer has, like that rate. They're more likely to just charge that same rate all through. But to be fair, I'm only, when I'm taking depositions, concerned about the warranty work that's being done on the vehicle. So I could be wrong. They could charge more.
Do you hear from the people you depose, I guess the service technicians, a story that kind of corroborates what I'm saying? Yeah, we'd rather work on the customer pays than on the warranty stuff, because if it takes 6 hours to do what the manufacturer's willing to pay 3.1, we're going to work on that one first. Do you hear that? Is that?
No, but I hear like it took this long, but we didn't get paid for the full amount. And we think we should have, but they declined the request for additional time.
The manufacturer wouldn't pay,
right.
But the customer has to pay, or they're not going to get their RV back.
Right. And most dealers are not going to charge the customer for the amount that they didn't get paid by the manufacturer. But I'm sure there's dealers out there that do.
So the dealer has to eat that, because I've heard stories that dealers say, "Man, we hate doing warranty work," and my
Yeah.
response is, "Well, then why don't you do a better job of the PDI and making sure that you're selling a unit that isn't going to come back with issues and problems?" But
Well, I think that's an issue too, because it's like, well, if I only have 3.1 hours to do it and I feel like I really need 5, um, am I going to like rush through it because I'm not going to get paid for the other amount? And then maybe I'm doing my best, but maybe I miss some things, or maybe I just don't do as complete or good a job as I might have if I'd spent 5 hours doing it. So, I mean, I'm sure that plays into things too.
I wonder how long the lag time is. If I'm a service writer at a dealership and I go, "Okay, we've used that 3.1," and the book says, "Okay, we'll pay you for 3.1," but then the thing turns into a mess, it's going to be a couple more hours than that. How long the lag time is from the time that I learn, "Uh-oh, it's going to be more." I submit it to the manufacturer. The manufacturer goes, "Well, let me pray on it. Let me think on it. We got to, I mean, is it an immediate?" And I don't think you know the answer to this either, but it's just a question. I wonder how long it takes them to get that approval. And then I wonder if they go, "Well, hey, let's just stop. Don't put, we already started the project. We got 1 hour into it. Let's wait until we hear that we got the green
Mhm.
light to go forward." That it just seems like it's such a confusing mess. The auto industry is nothing like this.
Yeah. So I've heard from clients that like they'll be told by the dealer, we're waiting on the manufacturer, we're waiting on the manufacturer, we're waiting on the manufacturer. Now, you know, who knows if that's necessarily true, but people hear that a lot.
Hmm.
Um, there's a question that I tend to ask in dealer depositions, and most of the time they'll say that there's the time, like the lag time between warranty submission and approval, or parts request and parts like delivery. I'll ask about that as like comparing that manufacturer to maybe other manufacturers. Sometimes I'll hear like, oh, this manufacturer is not good. But
Hmm.
most of the time I'll hear just a generic. They're all about the same. So,
Yeah, but there's only a few suppliers, I mean, many of the components are the same in all these different brands. And so
mhm.
what you're able to do is go, "Wait a minute, you're telling me that you have this issue, but this manufacturer over here, I never hear that story. Which one is true? Which one do you lying?"
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, it just depends on the person that you're deposing, whether they're just gonna. It's not necessarily be more honest, but maybe toe the line more, just because they do have that allegiance with the manufacturer. They are selling their products, they are repairing their products. So um, it's an easier answer to say it depends on the problem. It depends on, you know, the time of year, or the issue, or,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
too many variables to answer your question.
Buying an RV should be a smooth and transparent process. And it can be when you buy from the right RV dealer. And yes, you'll find links to some of America's most trusted RV dealers in the description down below. But all too often, with a dealer who is not acting in your best interest, buying is anything but smooth and transparent. If you find yourself stuck in an endless cycle of repairs and runarounds and delays and more repairs and excuses and, I don't know, blame placing, don't wait till it's too late. Keep a detailed defect diary. Know what your paperwork says and understand it. And if you think you may have a case, get expert legal advice before it's too late. I can't tell you how many people I talk with that have waited too long to pursue their claim, and now they are SOL. Beth and the folks at the Burge and Wells Law Office are RV lemon lawyers, and they offer free evaluations to RV owners who believe they've been wronged. It's easy to get a free evaluation from one of Beth's lawyers. Just scan the QR code you see right here, or you can visit their website at rvlemonlaw.com. Put it all together, rvlemonlaw.com. That way you can take the first step towards holding manufacturers accountable. That's it for today, folks. I hope you'll drop a comment below and let me hear from you if you're having an issue with your RV and you like my perspective. I'm Alan Warren, the RV Wingman.